admitted to shooting his girlfriend. Herald Tribune writer Jessica Coleman reports that the 911 call came in just before 2 a.m. A person in the area called authorities when they heard gunshots near Cleese and Buffalo Streets in Edna. The woman killed is identified as Roseanne Martinez. Palacios is at the Jackson County Jail charged with murder. We've reached out to Police Chief Rick Boone and we're waiting to hear back. Karina?
Trenton, thank you. And now let's take a look at your forecast with First Warn Storm Team Chief Meteorologist Mac Bettis joining us now from the Weather Wall.
Well, thank you very much. First, let's look at Ernesto. Ernesto has a good potential to develop. It is in an area right now where it's having trouble, but it is likely to start strengthening up into a tropical system over the weekend. But you must remember that it looks like it will be turning, and it might even turn before it hits Florida. So we'll be taking a better look at that coming up in just a few minutes. Otherwise, we'll have some hot weather for you this weekend. We'll talk about it in just a few minutes.
Mac, thank you. Family and friends held a memorial this morning at Dickies Arena to honor and remember a CrossFit athlete who died while competing in a run-swim event in Fort Worth Thursday. During the event Thursday morning, a swimmer apparently began to have trouble and was seen slipping underwater. The Fort Worth Fire Department responded to the lake at about 8 a.m. to help find the missing swimmer. An hour later, they located the man's body, which was later identified as 28-year-old Lazar Ducic of Serbia. Now, advocates for the homeless are urging the governor of Massachusetts to rescind a new policy. They rallied Thursday to protest this policy, which allows some families only a 5-day stay in one of the state's emergency shelters.
Keep the children off the streets.
Advocates for the homeless bringing their message straight to the governor's office, delivering a petition as they face a deadline tomorrow.
Now we're telling families it's only for 5 days.
A new order from the Healy administration that some families in the state's 4 overflow shelters will be allowed only a 5-day stay. On Friday, 57 face evictions as advocates implore the governor to rescind the policy.
What is your biggest fear tomorrow?
We're very concerned that families who have no place else to go will be left on the streets, in transit stations, in cars.
Advocates say migrant and homeless families are already in these shelters because they have no other options.
Toda la familia no tiene nadie aquí.
This mother of 2 who has been a month at this overflow shelter at the Cambridge Registry of Deeds says she has no other family.
¿Dónde vas? No sé.
And as of tomorrow does not know where she'll go. Tim Scalona, whose own family was forced into the shelter system for years as a child, knows all too well the insecurity, especially felt by children.
The system sort of creates a lot of questions about why is this happening to me? Where will I have this shelter for a long period of time? Will I continue to have food?
Some families have been given an extension under certain circumstances. Others have been given tickets for transportation out of Massachusetts, which advocates believe is a harsh and unrealistic solution.
The message really is go back to where you came from, which for most of these families it can't be Haiti. That's not realistic. If it's the Texas border, I don't think that's realistic.
Governor Healy maintains shelter capacity is overwhelmed, but families are still being helped.
What's happening right now is case managers are on site continuing to work with families to relocate families, and that's going to continue.
These advocates believe the state needs to give the shelter system more time to transition families out, as time is now running out.
Families of 3 students killed in the 2018 Parkland shooting have reached a large settlement with the shooter, who agreed to pay $50 million each. He also agreed to pay a wounded former student $40 million. The likelihood of them receiving significant funds is slim, but the family's attorney says if Cruz ever acquires money, they can collect it. Cruz was recently named in a $430,000 insurance policy from his adoptive mother. He is now serving 34 consecutive life sentences without parole. Gripping new video released from the moments just before the attempted assassination of former President Donald Trump last month. That video will likely renew scrutiny over the security service's efforts to protect the former president.
It's the moment we've heard so much about, seen now for the first time on police body camera. A Butler Township police officer asking for a boost to check the roof of the AGR building outside former President Trump's rally. There's no audio in this video obtained by CNN. You can see on the timestamp this is less than 1 minute before Crooks started shooting. The officer climbs up to the roof and almost immediately drops down, and the tone changes. You don't see it on the video, but police have said Crooks aimed his rifle right at the officer. He runs to the other side of the building to look at the roof, and on this officer's dash cam, which was recording audio, you can hear those first 3 gunshots from Thomas Matthew Crooks at 6:11 p.m. The officer rushes back to his car to get his rifle. You hear him shout to other law enforcement officers on the dash cam.
Don't pull up your head, he's right there!
Back to the officer's body cam.
This close, bro, dude, he turned around on me. Where's he at? He's straight up! Who's got eyes on him?
Chaos ensues. By this point, the gunman, Crooks, has already been killed by Secret Service. But it doesn't appear local law enforcement is aware.
You were about to hop up, he's laying down, he's on our next building over. Right after the gap. He's got glasses, long hair.
These videos provide new insight into local law enforcement's movements moments before the shooting and the frantic aftermath. Since that day, there's been finger-pointing between U.S. Secret Service and Western Pennsylvania law enforcement, including testimony from the acting director of the Secret Service asserting local snipers hidden in a building could have spotted Crooks.
I'm not saying that they should have neutralized him, but if they'd have just held their post and looked left, maybe, and there's a lot of maybes there, Senator.
A lot of maybes, but
this new body camera footage also suggests local law enforcement had warned Secret Service they needed to protect the building Crooks used to fire the shots.
I told them they need to post the guys over here. I told them that the Secret Service. I told them that Tuesday. I told them to post guys over here.
I have no contact with either side.
What?
I thought you guys were.
No, we're inside.
Alpha 1, Bravo 1. Hickey.
I told them to post guys over here.
I wasn't even concerned about it because I thought someone was on the roof. I thought that's how we. Like, how can you lose a guy walking back here?
They were inside.
In a statement Thursday, the Secret Service says it is reviewing the newly released body cam video. 10 years ago today, a police officer in Ferguson, Missouri shot and killed 18-year-old Michael Brown. Questions remain about the unarmed teenager's death. Some witnesses say Brown surrendered with his hands up, while authorities claim he attacked Officer Darren Wilson and tried to take his gun. Wilson resigned in 2014 and was not charged. The case sparked global protest and fueled the Black Lives Matter movement. Today, Michael Brown Sr. and his wife led a march against police use of excessive force as part of a week-long tribute to their son. Now remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today. Hit the like button and click that notification bell. For now, stay with us. Straight ahead on 25 News, now at 5. Tropical storm Debbie continues to wreak havoc across the eastern seaboard. Also ahead, why experts say 2024 is set to be the hottest year on record. The report finds about 400 million people have had long COVID. That amounts to 6% of adults and about 1% of kids across the globe. The research team also rounds the global economic cost of long COVID is about $1 trillion a year, or about 1% of the global economy. They also cited studies that suggest only 7 to 10% of long COVID patients fully recovered 2 years later, and some chronic conditions from it could last a lifetime. Now, these days, students may not have to tote around textbooks, but all the other supplies they have to bring to school can make their book bags heavy, and doctors say too much weight can cause pain.
From binders to notebooks, paper and pencils, all the stuff students squish into their bags can make the school day feel a little heavy.
A backpack that doesn't fit correctly or that weighs too much, though, can cause muscle strains, back pain, and even numbness and tingling.
Dr. Sajith Azurf with Children's Healthcare of Atlanta says one of the easiest ways to measure if a backpack fits properly is to measure from the bump at the bottom of the neck to the top of the hip.
That's how long you want the backpack to be.
To help protect against injuries, Azurf says the backpack should have 2 broad padded straps as well as multiple compartments. Having a chest strap or waist strap is also a good idea. He says all of these things will help distribute weight evenly. Next, pack the heaviest items closest to the child's back and make sure it doesn't weigh more than about 10 to 15% of their body weight.
If your child is walking with their bag and they're leaning forward, the backpack is probably a little too heavy. So sometimes even splitting some of that stuff to another, a handbag or a little disposable grocery bag.
A properly worn backpack can also help prevent injury. Azurf says to make sure it sits about 1 to 2 inches below the shoulders and doesn't go more than 4 inches past the belly button.
You want the backpack to kind of sit in the middle of the back, essentially. So you might have to adjust the straps and make it snug.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Of course, it's back to school for students in the Victoria ISD. Teachers, students, and staff return to the classroom August 13th. 25 News Now Sunrise anchor Karina spoke with the interim superintendent about what they'll plan to focus on this school year. You can watch and read this story. Just come to crossroadstoday.com. So here is your viewer poll this afternoon. You can scan that QR code that's going to pop up on your screen. The question is, what time do your children usually wake up for school? Is it before 6 a.m.? Is it from 6 to 7 a.m., 7 to 8 a.m., or after 8 a.m.? We want to hear from you. Come to crossroadstoday.com/vote to take part, and we're going to have an update on 25 News Now at 6. Fast-moving wildfires in Jackson County, Mississippi led to some evacuations on Thursday. Wildfires with raging flames and intense heat broke out in a number of areas in Jackson County. In one community, deputies went door to door to force evacuations as the fires got dangerously close to homes. Fire crews spent most of Thursday afternoon and evening battling the fires. Eventually, Jackson County deputies gave the green light for most residents to return home. Tropical Depression Debbie is threatening the East Coast today. It's on a path of destruction, leaving flooding and tornado damage in its wake. The storm system is now headed north and expected to be through Maine by tomorrow morning.
Debbie is bringing the risk of catastrophic flooding and tornadoes up the eastern seaboard. Forecasters say after starting today around Virginia, it could be through Maine by tomorrow morning.
When I see the storm coming, it really worries me,
Some residents in flood-prone areas of the Northeast have sandbags in place.
Certain spots on the back part, if I don't put the sand in there, then the water going to the basement. I don't need that.
We've been working all day to make sure that the marina and boats are protected.
In states farther south, some homeowners face serious flood damage.
We've just got to become unhomeless and get this place fixed back so we can go start again.
Others are picking up the pieces after Debbie spawned tornadoes. Given the storm's growing death toll, some are just grateful they and their neighbors are alive.
Who knows what would have happened if he wasn't willing to, get under the tree and get to the door and ask if everyone was okay and get everybody out.
There's some hope. Once that water is gone, we can go back to our normal way of life.
I'm Amy Kiley reporting.
2024 is on track to be the hottest year on record. European Union's Copernicus Climate Change Service says last month wasn't as hot as July of last year, but it was the second warmest July on record, ending the streak of global monthly temperature records that's been going on for more than a year. Despite a slightly less hot July, 2 days last month were the hottest since recorded started in 1940. Sea surface temperatures also marked the second highest July on record. They were just 0.01 degrees Celsius below 2023 levels.
Copernicus is a wonderful asset. They're out there in Europe, but you can get them online and you can read all kinds of information as to temperatures, not only here, but around the world, because guess what? We're all connected as one planet and we're all suffering from this heat. Well, right about now, we're looking at a rather warm 97. I believe the high today was 99, okay? So we're pretty close to that 100. And of course, at 111 is where it gets rather uncomfortable. So we do have a heat advisory on right now. We'll check that high temperature, but we're supposed to be normally at about 96. The weekend is going to be good if you like that really hot stuff. But I just want to warn you to respect the heat over the weekend. We'll talk about that and take a look at Ernesto coming up in a moment. Well, good afternoon, everyone. You know, we have moisture in the air pretty much all the time, but sometimes the atmosphere gets hot enough to where it pops up these very large currents. And while it's not raining in Victoria right now, we've got a couple thunder showers that popped up. One of them here just to the north of Edna, and this is the bigger one right about here at Fort Bend County, and it's rolling southward. So Bay City, Wharton, you may see some of that, at least the clouds, and you may get a little bit of cooling out there. This would be nice. Other than that, the moisture in the central Texas area started picking up this afternoon, and wow, they're getting a little bit of cooling here. You can see Gatesville, you can see Lampasas, you can see that activity dropping southward, maybe getting down into the hill country as well. I doubt if it'll make to the Austin area before the sun goes down, but at least it was something that would look like a cloud and some moisture around the region. Otherwise, we've got heat advisories on and off for pretty much everybody in the crossroads and all of East Texas, and I don't know, pretty much most of the country. You know, they were talking about the temperatures, and you can see right now, these are the currents. We're looking at 97 for us, 95 in Palacios, and 97 up in El Campo as well. So these hot temperatures will continue for the weekend, and I want you to have a great weekend. I just want you to respect the heat. People say, well, what do you mean by that? Well, I mean the fact that that it's just warm, you're thinking it's no problem. Well, it can be a problem. If you're out there working real hard and you're perspiring a lot, you'll notice that at some point you're not cooling down, your body starts to heat up. And that's when you want you to limit the strenuous activities outdoors. Check on the elderly and pets, of course, and of course, if If you need some cooling, just go to some public building that has AC that you can walk around a little bit and cool yourself down. Well, now in the Atlantic, we have Ernesto. It's not really named just yet. It's still an easterly wave, but it will probably become a depression by tomorrow as it starts rolling into a little bit more favorable area. Ernesto is going to be interesting. It does have a good potential to strengthen up, but at this point in time, it's going to be a game of chicken for the East Coast. You see, the path could either take it through Florida and right back over the Carolinas, which just had a flood, or it can turn somewhere a little earlier and sort of miss the East Coast. So its path is going to be very, very important to the people out there because they just went through the floods and now they may have to go through it again. Here's Debbie way up here in upstate New York, continues rolling into Canada, dropping heavy rains still at this point in time. Now, here's the reason why the Ernesto's not getting going real fast because of this Saharan dust. This dust will eventually cross and get to our area about 2-3 days, but Ernesto may just strengthen up enough to counterbalance that activity, and we'll certainly watch and wait to see what it does for the East Coast. But as far as we are concerned, tropical activity, not a chance. This dome is just impressively strong. It'll be on top of all of the southern half of the country through the next 7 days. So lots of sun, a little bit of clouds, only 93 tomorrow in Port Lavaca, 95 in Cuero, with just a few clouds here and there. Slight 20% chance of an afternoon sea breeze showers. Otherwise, a heat index of 110, which will continue all the way through the early next week. That is your 7-day forecast, reminding everybody we do have a QR code. Love for you to scan that. Put Crossroads Today on your phone. Karina, back to you.
Thank you, Matt. Coming up next on 25 News Now 5, we're going to take a look at your stocks. Plus, why Halloween merchandise is coming to the shelves earlier than expected. Taking a look at your stocks, the Dow up 51 points, the S&P 500 up 25 points, and the Nasdaq up 85 points. Oil up 65 cents, closing at $76.84 per barrel. With the threat of Debbie, AAA reports the national average for a price of gallon of gas dipped 3 cents since last week to $3.45 a gallon. AAA spokesperson says Tropical Storm Debbie's threat to the Gulf Coast oil production and refining is over, but added Middle East tensions and some overseas economic uncertainty may mitigate any drop in oil prices. Meanwhile, it reports the national and state averages for L2 commercial electricity used by electric vehicles is the same as the previous week. Now, don't get scared if you're seeing skeletons, witches, and ghosts in early August. Many big box retailers are getting into the spooky season earlier than ever before. The arts and crafts store says the launch of its seasonal collections are driven by consumer demand. So far, sales of Halloween goods have beat their internal expectations. Meanwhile, Home Depot started selling its Halloween decorations online in April, also fueled by high demand, but stores won't start stocking shelves until around Labor Day. And stay with us. We're going to take one last look at your forecast with Mac when we come back. Plus, a look at the 2 new baby monkeys at a zoo. Plus, here's a look at World News Tonight right after 25 News Now at 5.
Coming up, severe storms slam the Northeast, a tornado warning outside of New York City. Chilling images of a passenger plane falling from the sky and bursting into flames. And the mad dash at the Summer Games, Sha'Carri Richardson's golden moment next.
Gifford Zoo in Syracuse is happy to welcome 2 baby Pataz monkeys. The female monkeys were born 2 weeks apart. Both babies were fathered by the Pataz troop leader named Mac, making them half-sisters.
What's his name?
His name is Mac. That's the father's name. Zoo handlers realized the mothers lacked the maternal instincts necessary to raise their babies, so they stepped in. Sisu and Mushu are being hand-raised by the zookeepers, and guests can see the pair briefly each day at the Animal Health Center ICU viewing windows. They're just so cute.
They
Look
are
at them.
so cute. And they're curious. They want to see what everything is.
Yeah, they're sisters. Look at them. I just want to, people who have pet monkeys?
Yes.
That must be a handful.
It must. I knew a friend in Corpus that actually had, well, it wasn't a monkey, it was a lemur.
A lemur?
Yeah.
Okay.
Very similar. And it's just amazing. I mean, but the guy was all over the place.
I bet.
You had to just assume that he's jumping on the ceiling. So if you have one, just keep them cool. Get them a little ice cream for the weekend because we're all going to need some ice cream. This is a hot weekend, folks. We're looking at a high tomorrow of 110 in the heat index. Now, we didn't invent the heat index just to make it sound worse. We're just saying that the heat and the humidity will combine to affect you like 110. So try and stay cool, but this heat is going to be on with us for quite some time.
Perfect weekend for the beach, I think.
Oh, yes.
With sunscreen, of course.
Yeah, a little sunscreen, not too much on the land, a little bit in the water, back and forth. And
Balance yourself off. That's right. Thank you, Mac, and thank you for being with us. We hope to see you back here tonight for 25 News Now at 6. World News Tonight with David Muir is up next.